I moved into the house alone, and that was the first thing that felt wrong. Not scary, just wrong. The kind of wrong you can't explain. The house wasn't old enough to be creepy, and it wasn't new enough to feel clean. It sat quietly at the end of the street, lights off, windows dark, as if it had been waiting. The landlord barely spoke, handed me the keys, and left before I could ask questions. When the door closed behind me, the silence inside the house felt heavier than it should have. The first night was uneventful, but I couldn't sleep. Not because I was scared, because the house didn't feel asleep. Every sound echoed too clearly. The ticking clock in the living room felt louder after midnight. The fridge clicked on and off like it was breathing. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling watched without seeing anything. I told myself it was just a new place, a new routine, nothing more. By the third night, small things started changing. Nothing obvious. Nothing I could prove. The chair in the corner of the room was never where I remembered leaving it. My shoes were always closer to the door than I placed them. I began checking locks more than once, not out of fear but habit, like something in the house expected me to. The mirrors felt different too. I avoided looking at them for too long, unsure why. One night, around 2:17 a.m., I heard footsteps. Slow. Careful. Inside the house. I froze in bed, listening. They didn't rush. They didn't hide. They moved like someone who knew the layout better than I did. When I finally gathered the courage to get up, the sound stopped instantly. The silence afterward was worse. I checked every room. Nothing. No sign of anyone. But the air felt disturbed, like someone had just passed through. Sleep became harder after that. I started leaving lights on. The house didn't seem to like it. The bulbs flickered randomly, never burning out, never fully stable. My phone battery drained faster inside the house, even when I wasn't using it. I began waking up at the same time every night, without alarms, without reason. 2:17 a.m. Always. As if the house wanted me awake. One evening I noticed a smell. Not rotten. Not familiar. Just wrong. It came and went, strongest near the hallway that led to the spare room. I never used that room. I never even opened it. The door stayed closed, untouched. Yet sometimes I felt a draft coming from beneath it, cold enough to raise goosebumps. I told myself it was bad insulation. I knew I was lying. The night I finally opened that door, the house went completely silent. No clock. No fridge. No outside noise. The room was empty. No furniture. No dust. Just clean walls and a single window sealed shut. But the floor had marks, slight indentations, like something heavy had been standing there for a long time. I closed the door quickly, my heart racing, and that's when I heard it behind me. Breathing. Not mine. Close. Too close. I didn't turn around. I didn't run. I stood there, frozen, feeling the house around me, listening, watching, waiting. The breathing stopped when I reached my bedroom and shut the door. That night I didn't sleep at all. I sat on the bed until morning, staring at the walls, realizing something terrifying. I wasn't alone in the house. And I never had been. After that night, I stopped pretending everything was normal. The house had crossed a line. I could feel it now, clear, undeniable. It wasn't just sounds or shadows anymore. It was awareness. The kind that presses against your thoughts, making you doubt what you remember and what you just imagined. I stayed awake most nights, sitting on the edge of the bed, listening to the walls like they might speak back. Daytime didn't help. The house looked ordinary in sunlight, but it felt empty in a wrong way. Neighbors avoided eye contact. No one stood outside. No children played nearby. When I asked a man across the street how long the house had been empty before I moved in, he stared at me for a moment too long and said, "Long enough," before walking away. That answer followed me back inside like a warning. The footsteps returned the next night. Earlier this time. Closer. They moved from the hallway, into the living room, and stopped outside my bedroom door. I watched the doorknob, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure whatever stood outside could hear it. The knob didn't turn. It just twitched slightly, like something testing whether I was awake. Then the house did something worse. It learned. The sounds changed. The footsteps began to match my own pace. When I stopped breathing, the house went quiet too. When I exhaled, I heard a faint exhale somewhere in the walls. It was copying me, studying me. I realized then that the breathing I'd heard before wasn't random. It had been practicing. I started recording at night. Audio, video, anything. But every morning the files were gone. Not corrupted. Not damaged. Deleted. As if the house didn't want proof, only memory. And memory, I was learning, could be twisted. The spare room door was open one evening when I came home. I knew I had closed it. Inside, the room was no longer empty. There was an impression on the floor, deeper than before, like something had been sitting there recently, waiting. The smell was stronger now, heavy in my chest. I backed away slowly and the door shut on its own behind me, softly, carefully. That night, the mirrors finally showed me the truth. Not reflections. Positions. They showed me standing where I wasn't yet, seconds before I moved. I watched myself turn my head before I actually did. That's when panic hit. The house wasn't reacting anymore. It was predicting. At 2:17 a.m., the breathing returned, inside my room. Not behind the walls. Not in the hallway. Right beside my bed. I kept my eyes shut, terrified that if I opened them, I wouldn't be alone anymore. The mattress dipped slightly as if someone had sat down. I felt the weight. The cold. A whisper brushed my ear. Not a voice, more like a thought pressed into sound. You're learning fast. I didn't scream. I couldn't. The house didn't want noise. It wanted acceptance. Morning came eventually, but I understood something then. The house wasn't trying to scare me away. It was adjusting me, breaking me in. And deep down, beneath the fear, beneath the exhaustion, I realized the most terrifying part of all. The house wasn't haunted. It was hungry.